out. It's a nice training. You really don't, to send energy out, you don't have to put your hands down. You just have to be aware of energy and intend it. But if you put your hands down in the beginning as a basic training, you get used to in and out. Pull in love, send out anger. Pull in joy, send out sadness. Pull in light, send out confusion. Whatever. To me, this is the greatest technique I've ever used to be successful. Once we know how to recharge and decharge, our next skill, which can change our lives immediately, this is like immediate stuff, it's not that complicated once we understand it, is understanding our different love needs. It is love that is the fuel that makes us successful. We all need love. And the more we get all of our love needs met, the more fulfilled we'll be in our life. What we have here is love tanks. You know, I love cars, so I have love tanks. This car requires all these different fuels to run. And these different tanks, some of them are full, some of them are empty. And we have to find what's empty and fill it up. So I'm going to use some examples, and then I'll talk about all of them. Because we're most familiar with the relationship tank. That tends to be a big focus of our time period we're living in right now. People are very interested in romance, the R tank. When you fall in love, this tank is filling up. Filling up. Oh gosh, I love her so much. She's perfect. Everything about her is perfect. Unbelievably great. She is the best. Wow, this was unbelievable. Oh, I want to spend the rest of my life with her. She's terrific. Once that is full, what just happened? The movement of love stops. Oh, I don't feel the way I used to feel. Everybody's had that experience of being elated and in love, and then it's gone. What happened? The elation is just the rising up of this love tank. But once it's full, that person can do nothing for you. So let's say you've got this great relationship, this wonderful person. They make you feel great. At a certain point, they can't make you feel anything good. Just nothing. And suddenly you'll feel the emptiness in another tank that's empty. These needs actually develop in sequence over time. It starts out in the womb. The first need we have is our relationship with God. That's all children. Who makes your body? God. Divine energy. You don't do it. Your mother doesn't do it. Her body does it. But she's like, okay, now we're going to put the arm in. Now we're going to put the nail in. You know, it doesn't work that way. It's all done. We're sitting there in the womb, and we have consciousness as children. We just don't remember it. But it's like, wow, look at this, and look at this, and now this has happened. It's all miraculous. It's a very miraculous consciousness, magical. Things are just happening. Your rent is paid automatically. You get fed all the time. You hear music. It's a fabulous time. If you had a good time in the womb, you tend to have a very easy time in your relationship with God. If you didn't, like let's say your mother wanted an abortion, or your mother was bedridden, or there was a lot of fear around it, that's going to affect you for the rest of your life. And generally, the way you deal with those survival issues, which tend to come up around this time, life-death kind of issues, is working on your relationship with God. So you pray to God for that. Then the next, so that's how you work on that particular love tank, through your prayer, through your connection with God, through spiritual type activities. You nurture this. Okay, then you're born. Who's your primary caretaker? Your parents are your primary caretaker. Whoever's like you bond with. And you fill up with this tank. This is a need we have, to feel that we can depend on someone. The need is to trust. We need to feel that there are people in our life that we can trust. If there's nobody in your life that you can trust, this is going to be empty. You need to find people that you can trust for something to support you. Otherwise, you'll be full over here. You'll bounce over here and go, oh, can't trust you. And you'll think, I can't trust my partner. I can't trust my kids. I can't trust myself. Because this is empty. This is the trust one. So a lot of people, when they have deficiency in their childhood, it's good to go to therapy. That's why therapy works for some people and not for others. Because they need to go to somebody they can trust, who's been trained, who for a week, one day a week, can be a parent. And that's what I did as a therapist. I don't even remind my clients. I say, now remember, don't expect your husband to treat you the way I do. I say this to women. You pay me. I don't live with you. I see you 1 hour a week. I can do anything for that time. So don't expect him to be like me. The next one, age 7, they're all 7-year cycles. Why 7? I don't know, but guess what? We all experience it. Right happens after 7 years, children start making more friends. You see the change in your kids. Now they're like not so dependent on you as the parent. And now they're more dependent on friends and fun. Friendship and fun and play. This is the time in life where if we get safety and security to play, we learn how to be happy. Now, I'm really against all this homework they're giving to children during this age. Then what children feel is the burden of work. Children should never feel the burden of work up to like 14 years old. What they should learn is how to enjoy life. Now you go, what about chores? If you look at historically until this current time we're in, kids did chores, but they always did them with their parent. What is the happiest thing, the greatest motivator to a child between 7 and 14? It is doing something with the parent. That's how I get my kids to do anything. Okay, well, we'll go do this. Oh, we will? We'll do it together? Yeah, we'll do this together. It makes it fun. They just want to be with you. It should be light. We should make sure they never have to carry a load, which is a burden, up to 14. Then they know how to have fun. The next thing, teenage years, peer support. That's P2. Peer support is learning to work, to achieve, to accomplish. Once I know how to have happy, say, I'm working now, but I love it because I know how to have fun. I can depend on people. I have a support staff. I have all this stuff. And I work hard. And I like working hard because I have good teachers. I have good role models. I have good information. I've got practice. I efforted. I achieved. That's this one. This is where children need challenge. And they develop this. And this is why they pull away from the parents completely to have friends. Now it's my buddies. Now it's my teachers. They need to get that peer support or mentors to give them that support here. Then you get into your 20s, 21 to 28. That's where you learn to develop your self-love. So many women, they get married at that time. Now they're straddled with a husband, with children. They have no freedom to do what they want to do. And they never develop self-love. So we have a crisis of women not loving their bodies, not loving themselves, not being happy. They have to start learning to love themselves. When you're empty here, you get in a relationship. Oh, I'm in a relationship. I love this person. Feels great. But as soon as it's full, you then become needy because you're not loving yourself. You feel dependent. When you get vitamin S, I don't need a woman. I don't need anything. I don't need money. I don't need anything. I can do what I love to do. I can drive a car. I can meditate. I can go for a walk. I can have conversations with anybody. I can be happy. That's because I have self-love. I've learned what makes me happy without depending on anybody. That's what our young 20-year-olds should do up to 20 to 28. They should experiment. They should explore. They like education. They should do that. They should follow their heart and do what they love. Then they have self-sufficiency. Then they're ready to be in a relationship where you actually share yourself with someone, compromise, accommodate, but you learn not to give up yourself. You have a strong sense of who you are, so now you can share yourself with somebody. Once you have that, then you're ready to have children. Then you have all this support, so now you can overflow and give unconditionally to your children. Your children start growing up. Now it's not just about your children. It's more about your community. It's more about expanding out. Not just loving my blood relations. Now I'm giving to others. And that's when you can develop your dream. It's your 40s where you can follow your dream. You rise up to make what you're here about. That's when you get out of just what's for me and now what's for the world. Because every one of our dreams has to do with personal fulfillment, but also serving the world in some way. So we're following our dream. Then we get to 49, which is a huge transformational time, where it's vitamin W. We want to serve the world. But it's not just serving the world. It's just service. Our life is about service. And if we're not serving, a lot of people are still back here trying to get happy here, trying to get happy here, trying to get happy here. They're not moving ahead. The primary source of happiness is in your age group. If you're over 49 and above, you need to be doing three things. You need to be serving outside your family relationship, but you also have to keep these things going. But you have to be serving others and serving yourself. It's a time of healing. You need to pamper yourself, nurture yourself. You no longer work for the money. You work to be a service to others, and you act to be a service to yourself. And you find balance between those two things. Then at 58, which is when people retire, what does retirement mean? Retirement means nothing for me, everything for God. God too. God too means here, God's like a parent. Serve me, take care of me, heal me, protect me, guide me, support me. Here, it's God, use me to bless the world. Use me to fulfill others. Now, being an instrument, a channel of God's light and love, doesn't mean you have to wait till here. This is when your full power comes in to do it. And to have it here doesn't mean you can ignore all these other things. At any stage of development, you still have to keep everything full. You remember the Chinese acrobatic thing where they have posts and plates and they spin them? Well, this is what happens. This is our life. We're spinning one. Now we're spinning another. Now we're spinning another one. Oh, this one's starting to tip over. We've got to spin that. Got to spin that. Move over here. Keep this spinning. Keep this spinning. Move over here. Oh, this one's going down. Oh, this one's going down. Keep this going. Start. And this is what life is about. It's a balancing act. That's why I got so many things. But unless you know what to do, it's crazy. It's hard to figure out what to do. When you see, okay, what am I missing? And what you can conclude, bottom line, if you feel you can't get what you need, you're looking in the wrong direction. With this insight, with this understanding, you can start finding what you need instead of looking to the source where you can't get what you need. In practical sense, when you're unhappy in your relationship, temporarily stop looking to your partner to make you happy. Look to yourself. Look to having some fun on your own. Look to getting help or support. Look to being in a peer group, a support group. Pray to God. All these things work. And it depends how well one of these works, depends on what's empty, the most empty. If you happen to be over here in this stage, you need to have something that's dependent on you. You don't want to have children, a garden, a responsibility, where someone's true life is dependent on you. Child is dependent on you. Garden is dependent on you. Animals depend on you. Pets can replace it. Serving your community. When you're over 40, you've got to be doing something to help the community. Otherwise, you're going to be unhappy, and you don't know what it is. Some people go midlife crisis, and they go, okay, I can't be happy. I've got to go back and fill all these tanks. And yes, they do, but they also have to live in the level of maturity that they're in and make sure that in some way they're doing meaningful service, following their dream to do meaningful service in the world. And you get up here, you've got to be age appropriate as your primary need, and then you've got to keep everything else going. Because once you fill it up, it's like a gas tank in a car. You use it, it starts going down. You've got to fill it up again. You've got to nurture it. And who's responsible to nurture it? You. Nobody else. It's all up to you. And when you do that with that awareness, you can then pull into your life always exactly what you need so that you can be in touch with what it is you want, begin to act on your wants, and then your blocks show up. And that's what we're going to talk about next. What are the blocks? How do you remove the blocks? So then your full power to manifest your dreams can take place. So we'll do that in our next session. So we'll take a little break now. Last segment of how to get what you want what you have. We're going to focus on what happens when you're getting what you need, you're in the right direction, and then you find your soul's desire. You're like really on purpose, on track. That's when the challenges really pick up. Anything that has been holding you back will show up. So many success stories involve setbacks, obstacles, blocked doors. I know the story of Jonathan Livingston Seagull. Everyone might remember that. Huge, huge, big best-selling book. Nobody wanted his books. His agent gave him up. It was like a failure. He was going to give up, and he thought, well, I have this one little book left. I'll just send it off myself. And he sent it off, and that became Jonathan Livingston Seagull, which was this huge, huge seller. But he had to believe in himself. He had to persist. Sometimes at the darkest moment, the sun comes up. We have to make it through that period. And it's a period where we have to sometimes ask for help, sometimes believe in ourselves, sometimes get support here. That's our soul's journey, which is to overcome the challenges and obstacles. When I showed you all of those different needs that develop at different times, the things that developed in childhood you had no power over. That's why in some traditions it's called your karma. It just happens to you. You can't do anything about it. Because you're a child. How can you do anything about it when you're a child? See, I'm an adult now. If somebody's mean to me, I can choose not to be with them. If somebody cheats me, I can forgive them and not do business with them. I'm free. When those situations happen, the way I hold it, that allows me to feel good about the universe, to understand it, and I find it to be true, is that those were the challenges that came into my life for me to overcome. And as I've overcome those challenges, I became a better person. I became stronger. Think about it this way. If your soul wants to learn to love, if everybody loves you, do you ever learn to love? No. The test of love is when you're challenged. Is if somebody's not nice to you and you forgive them, that's real love. You marry someone who you think is perfect and you find out they're not perfect. Can I still love them? Can I still find the good in them? That's what real love is. That's not infatuation. That's real love. If you want to build your muscles, you don't go to the gym and find some comfortable weights and have a good time. Unless you push yourself to your limit and just a little bit beyond. Nothing builds, nothing grows. That's what these blocks are about. What are the blocks? Let's go through them. I'll briefly talk about them. Now, some people are going to go, oh my gosh, I got all of them. Where do I start? You know, Whenever in doubt, start with number 1. When you're done with that one, go to number 2. Basically, this one, which is blame, number 1 block, blame, is the source of all of them. is when you make somebody else responsible for you, then you've disconnected from your power to be responsible for you. So how do we let go of blame? Each one of these blocks, you have to first identify and you have to realize this is how I'm holding back my mistake. I get nothing out of blaming somebody and holding on to it. I'm so righteous, look what I did, you're so bad. I mean, I have those reactions. That's our human reaction. That's what we're trying to get beyond. But then I go, don't act on it, don't talk. My rule of thumb, don't even talk, don't make decisions if you're angry with somebody. This is the emotion that goes with blame, is anger. Each one of these blocks has a particular emotion and has a particular process in order to release the block. If you're in blame, all you need to do, take some time to feel anger, write it out, or decharge it, or write it in a journal, write a personal letter, journaling, I'm angry about this, and just write for a couple of minutes. That's all it takes. Then say, what am I sad about? Then say, what am I afraid of? And what you'll see, your mood will shift, and then you'll be able to come back to forgiving and understanding, and you're back to your true self. I've got letters, hundreds of letters. People say, saved my marriage, saved my life. Unbelievable how powerful this simple little technique is, because it deals with blame, because that's the root cause of all of it, is giving up your power through blame. So the first block is blame. We'll take it away. Next block is depression. Depression is when you don't have joy. If you're not happy in your life, basically, occasionally every day, you don't have some happiness in your life, you have joy in your life, if you don't have things it's not you can feel all these positive feelings all the time, but if you don't regularly experience happiness and joy,